This is Insight into Injury, the sciatica edition. The sciatica nerve, people hear about that, they get nervous about it, for rightly so. A little background on sciatica. It is actually a giant nerve that exits out of your spinal cord in 5 places, turns into one big nerve as it exits kind of through this area here, and then it spreads out down through your leg. Depending on how compressed that nerve is, whether it be compressed by your disc, by your spinal cord, or by even a tight muscle, you might be feeling symptoms traveling down your leg. As always, prevention is much easier than recovery, because when you're preventing something, you're not having to try to exercise your way through pain. You're not hurting yet. Let's keep it that way. I'm here with Bree. My name is Josie. I'm a physical therapist, and we're going to talk about prevention for sciatica nerve. The most important muscle to keep stretched out if you want to prevent a problem with your sciatic nerve is your hamstring. And this is one of the easiest ways to do a hamstring stretch. All you need is a chair that doesn't have wheels on it and one that your feet can hit the ground on. Breathe, scoot forward a little bit and stick one leg out. We're going to start with the right leg. It's important that your knee is straight and that you don't feel like you're falling off the table. Point your toes up. Good job pulling back as far as you can. And now to stretch the hamstring muscle. The hamstring muscle, by the way, is here in the back of your leg, above your knee, between your butt and your knee on the back. And as you lean forward into this stretch, that's when you're going to feel it pulling. And that pull, depending on how tight you are, might extend down to your toes. It might actually even extend up into your back a little bit. That's normal. You want to go until you feel like a moderate, gentle stretch and hold it for 20 seconds. If you're feeling like that's a little bit too strong for you, just back up a little bit. You can sit up a little higher. You can put your hands in front of you here to kind of take off some of the pressure, or you can keep your hands back wherever you feel most comfortable. Switch legs. If you notice that one leg is tighter than another, perfect time to really work to level it out, because any asymmetries in your lower body can lead you to have an injury. So after 20 seconds of that, you can always repeat these exercises, by the way, many times as you want throughout the day. We'll move on to the next stretch. Cross your ankle onto your knee. You can kind of scoot back so you're more in the center of your chair again, feeling stable. And some people will need to kind of drag that knee up. If you're really tight, that's okay. You can kind of hold onto your pant leg to get it up there. Ideally, you're all the way up to where Bree is. And then with both hands kind of on your shin here like this, pull your body up. Good posture is key, of course, for our sciatic and low back problems. And as you're sitting here, Bree's very flexible. Some of you might kind of more look like this with your knee up in the air. That's normal too. You're getting a stretch out here in your hip area. And as with any stretch, hold it about 20 seconds. And you want to feel a moderate to intense stretch. You want to know you're doing something. Go ahead, switch legs. Good. Bree was just telling me how she was out doing a little jog and some squats and is a little sore, so these are great for that.
Feels really good.
A variation to this stretch, we'll go back to the first leg, cross your leg up there again, and this time kind of give your knee a pull up and over. Still make sure that your knee and your ankle are pretty close together here, but this time your leg is going up and across towards your opposite shoulder rather than down and away. You're going to feel a stretch in a similar location, still along the side here of your hip. And switch over to the other side. These exercises are just so convenient. You can sit on the edge of your bed in the morning and loosen up. But here we are before your work shift, getting ready to do what you got to do today. The next exercise we'll do before we send you off to work is a standing exercise. So this exercise is for the muscle along the front of your hip. And even though the sciatic nerve is more along the back, we've got to loosen up the front so that you're not in this position. Bree, step forward with your left foot, and there we go. At this point, you want to make sure you're pretty balanced. And if you're feeling uncomfortable with that, just do it next to a chair or something that you can hold on to. Lunge forward onto your front knee and keep your torso up real straight. And at this point, you should be feeling a stretch along the front of your hip flexors. And she's doing a great job of keeping her torso straight. You don't want to be excessive going back like this. You don't want to try to wiggle or go sideways, just keeping it straight. Some people will even feel a calf stretch at this point too down in here. That's normal. Feel as though there's a string attached from the front of your hip aimed at the floor at a diagonal, and that'll help kind of pull your hip forward. It's like you're pressing your hip into the ground at that angle on the string. After 20 seconds, go ahead, Bree, swing it around. And same thing here. You're finding just a good balance point on your knee. And you should be feeling like that hip bone is pushing forward. A lot of times here, this angle here through this, you don't want it to be too far this way or too far that way. You want that waist to be going straight through so that that left side can be pushing forward like that. All right, so hopefully you're feeling good and loosened up, off to work. But if you're here after your shift, then let's keep going with some stretching and strengthening. So if you're still with us here today, that's because you survived your workday, and now we're going to do some other exercises for strengthening, and kind of as a cool down, we'll do these exercises laying down. So you can choose to lay down any place that's comfortable for you. It might be on your floor, it might be in your bed. Even if your bed's squishy, that's fine. First stretch we're going to do, Bree, if you could bring up your left leg, grab with your knee with your right hand and pull it across your body. This stretch, make sure you're in an area where you're not going to fall off the bed. You're going to feel this stretching along your hip. This muscle, actually the sciatic nerve, literally runs right through this area of your muscle right before it branches off elsewhere. So this stretch is awesome. Switch over to your other leg. And same thing, notice here as you're pulling your knee over, your back might round up a little bit, but your shoulders always stay flat. And you can repeat these exercises as much as you want. We're going to move on to the strengthening exercises now. Bree, bend both your knees. This first exercise is called a bridge, and you're going to be lifting your hips up off the table. It starts with a pelvic tilt, just as she did, and then you roll up the next part of your back all the way to your shoulder blades are up the table. Once you're up here, you feel your glute muscles, those butt muscles doing their work, then roll back down so your shoulder blades go down next. Good, and then your lower back, and then finally your hips come out of that pelvic tilt, and that's a rest. Repeat that 10 times, Bree. This isn't a stretch like we've been doing, so you're not holding this position. You're just kind of going up or down, making sure you use good form with that rolling motion. Some people aren't quite as able to get that big flexibility in your back. That's fine. Just make those efforts at making the ribs go down, and then your back go down, and then your hips go down. Other things to think about with this exercise is if your muscles of your glutes aren't strong enough, your knees are going to tend to want to fall open. But use your eyes as you're looking down at your knees right there, that they're staying hip width apart, and that your feet also are hip width apart. That's where you would be starting with your feet planted on the bed or the floor. What are we at, Bree?
9.
9. All right, I thought it was getting close. And if you're getting tired, of course, you can always take rest breaks in between. If you're feeling great, let's keep going because this next exercise is very similar but harder. Bree, could you roll yourself back up, please? And this time, hold this position just because I'm explaining something. We're going to now challenge each hip individually. So lift up this leg. And now the tendency here is that these hips that are normally level right here, if your left butt wasn't strong enough when your right leg goes up, you would drop. Don't let it drop. Switch legs. And right here is where you're focusing. And as you're looking down, as you're doing this exercise, go ahead, switch again. You're keeping your hips from swaying or sagging. Good, and left leg. And then put it back down. And now you can come down and rest. I would call that 2 repetitions because you did right, left twice. This isn't that easy. Bree's making it look very kind of easy. And we've got 3 more to do. Go ahead, roll back up and extend your legs. And then the left leg, and you should kind of feel this shifting in your hips, and you're trying to minimize that shifting by keeping your muscles really engaged back there. Looks great. We're going to be stretching these muscles out later again, so don't worry. If you're feeling it, that's good. That means we're getting stronger. Next exercise, we're going to focus on the muscles of your core, the abdominal muscles. And this exercise is the most advanced version of it that we would go to. It's called the air bike. So, Bree, first you're going to start and we're going to make sure we get the right muscles engaged so that you're not hurting your back. Think about your belly button, suck it in, and that kind of presses your back against the bed or the floor that you're on. From this point, lift up both your feet, and as you pick up your feet off the ground, you should still feel that you're being able to maintain your body pretty flat against the floor. Now pretend like you're pedaling a bicycle and work your legs. Good. And again, just like when you felt when you did that bridging exercise and lifted a leg, as the one leg shifts to the other, you might feel a little shifting going on in your torso. Try to minimize that. Really use that abdominal muscle to keep everything flat. And if you're feeling really good about this, stretch your legs lower down to the floor, closer to the bed. Good, Bree. And go as low as you can because that's the best challenge that you're going to get. but not at the expense of arching your back because that can cause back damage. Let's go 2 more each time, Bree, you got it. Excellent, and then take a break, good. We're gonna shift back into stretching now too. Another laying down stretch and then a couple sitting stretches just to kind of cool down those muscles that you just worked out. Bree, bend both your knees so your feet are flat on the table. Take this leg and cross it over so that your ankle is on your knee and press down with your left hand onto your left knee. This of course is the same on the other side too. If you're feeling a stretch right now, what you're looking at is a stretch in your hip. If you're feeling it, that's all you got to do. Hold it there 20 seconds. If you're a little more flexible, I imagine you are, Brie. I've seen you stretch this before. Grab your thigh with both your hands, pull it up just as you did. And at this point, this should intensify this stretch here. You might also get a little stretch on the other side. That's normal. And if you really want more of a stretch, kind of fling your elbow out up against your knee and get that stretch. It's a 20-second stretch. And switch legs. Bree will demonstrate the advanced version of it here again. Pull the legs up. But remember, if this seems like it's too intense for you, you can just leave this foot on the ground. This stretch is really good for those muscles that you used while you were doing all those bridges. So they'll be happy if you spend a little time doing these stretches. All right, come on down. Next stretches are sitting. Swing on over, Bree.
All right.
And keep one leg up on the bed, actually. You want your right leg stretched along here. And as you're doing this stretch at home, just make sure your heel stays on the bed. If it hangs off the edge a little bit, you won't get as good of a stretch. It's kind of like cheating. So, perfect. The other foot should be on the ground so you don't feel like you're falling off. And then, Bree, angle yourself kind of at a diagonal through the center of both your legs. And as you do that, you're going to feel it stretching here. And that's another 20-second stretch. These exercises, though again, not directly related to where the sciatic nerve is, they're directly related because your hips need to be flexible in all those directions so nothing pinches on it. Go ahead and swing around to the other side and lean at your diagonal forward. And just like that sitting stretch that we did earlier, you can adjust how aggressive your stretch is by how far you bend forward. Just making sure that your knee is straight. Bree's got her hand on her knee, which is perfect. That makes sure it doesn't pop up. You'll find that if you're tight in this area, as you lean forward, your knee's kind of going to want to chicken wing up there a little bit. Keep it down. Keeping your knee straight is important. You should be feeling that stretch along the inside part of your thighs, especially the leg that's up on the bed. All right, the next exercises, we'll square up for these. And you've seen this before, but it's super important. We're going to do it again. Leg out straight, Bree, toes up. Make sure that knee is straight all the way. And lean yourself forward so you feel that pulling sensation running along the back of your leg. That stretch might extend all the way up into your back. That's normal. You might not be feeling as much as you did earlier in today because now you've loosened up as you've gone through your workday. That's normal too. That's a good sign. And switch your leg over to the other side. 20 seconds here. Leaning forward however far forward you need so that you're still feeling like a medium stretch, but it should be comfortable. And lastly, we're going to do a stretch that kind of opens up the hips. Bree, I'll get out of your way a little bit here. Just open your knees up, your feet go with them, and then control the outer portion of your knees as you push out, and then as you lean forward, control how far you stretch by your bend and also by how hard you push your hands open like that. In this stretch, you're going to feel along both sides of your inner thigh, all the way from your hips down to your knees. You might also feel this actually in the back side too, up in your butt and your hip area, just because of the flexibility that you might have as you're leaning forward. And after 20 seconds, we'll call it a wrap.
Awesome.
Here's to preventing sciatic nerve pain.